Good evening, Dean Heath, um, Director of Writing Center and E-Learning. And tonight we are going to talk about chapters 18, 19, and 20. Um, Chapter 18 mentions spiritual needs of students, spirituality versus religion. Religion is the organized traditions and beliefs. Spirituality is more of the meaning, the purpose, the wholeness, transcendence, etc. Um, Back in my first semester in this program, we talked about identity, how you identify yourself. And that's when I really thought about the difference between religion and spirituality. Um, the book goes on to talk about the history of higher education and how it included the training for the ministry. Um, but I like the 5 points that the book brings up that higher education has an obligation to do in regard to giving the students what they need to help develop their religion and or spirituality. Um, they need to model authenticity, open doors, create a mentoring environment, providing and pointing out resources, and understanding institutional contexts and audiences. Number three, there, creating a mentoring environment, got me thinking about another class that I took last summer, social justice, which is actually part of chapter 20. But advocating and being an ally is part of mentoring. So we will discuss that a little further later on. Of the three chapters included in this module, I felt that chapter 18 was spirituality and religion was the least um, exciting for someone in a writing center or e-learning environment. I could be wrong. If you think of some way that really resonates with my departments, please let me know. I'm more than willing to look into other opportunities. Chapter 19 on First Amendment rights versus civil discourse. The book began by using a hammer metaphor, and it reminded me of being that I'm such a big nerd. It reminded me of the comic and movie Thor, and Thor uses a hammer, and just like the book mentioned, the hammer. When you have a hammer, you see all problems as a nail. Well, Thor's hammer can be used to fix something or destroy it. So rather than thinking of everything as hammer and nails, think of it as the ability to fix or destroy something. So you have to be careful regardless. Um, Free speech covers more than just oral communication, so that's definitely e-learning. If a student um, is in a discussion board, if a student has recorded a YouTube video for a class, that is protected speech. Um, Schools have enacted speech codes. No fighting words, of course. But just because something is protected speech doesn't mean that it contributes to a meaningful exchange of ideas. That was something from the book that I really appreciated. Um, so just because they can say it doesn't mean they should say it. So chapter 19 on freedom of speech and civil discourse did start to go into my areas for e-learning in the Writing Center. But I felt that chapter 20 on social justice was a little more up my alley. Um, and I started out this video by mentioning the social justice topics class that I took last summer, and it got me thinking about being an ally. The book lists some demographics that um, are um, frequently in need of allies and social justice: race, gender, sexuality, social class, and ability. And I like how the book mentions advocacy rather than awareness. What do we do with the information after we have it, after we're aware of it? Advocacy requires sacrifice. What are you willing to give up for your cause? Um, and the book also went into a point that is very important for every unit, every department that we represent, and that's retention. Uh, the sense of belonging. Students rarely feel a sense of belonging as a result of programming, but rather through relationships, peer, staff, and faculty relationships. So in the Writing Center and in the e-learning department, when we have interactions with students, we need to make sure that they understand that we are an ally for students. Many departments on many campuses have stickers on their doors or windows showing that there's a safe place for any type of student in their office. Now, rather than having a sticker for a group, if it's widely known that the faculty and staff on our campus are allies for every group or many groups, then students can appreciate that and come to us when they need something. A student sitting one-on-one with a member of my staff in the Writing Center, they could start a conversation that leads to a mentoring opportunity as per chapter 17. That could be for spirituality or any of these other social justice classes that we've been talking about here. Um, so that being said, the Writing Center and e-learning must be um, must be an advocate for students. Now, I'm not mentioning any particular demographic of students, but we need to advocate for all students. Um, the e-learning when it comes to e-learning, we have to make sure um, that we're protecting students' rights as far as their digital rights on campus. So we're not going to censor them. We're of course um, going to help provide faculty a way to keep things civil in the classroom. But as far as censoring, that's of course not something that we're going to do. These chapters, again, most of the chapters in the book I did not feel were huge for the couple of areas that I'm responsible for, um, but please feel free to give me details that maybe I've overlooked. Either way, interesting readings, and I look forward to listening to everything that everyone else has to say. Thank you guys very much. Have a great evening.